Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Living on Blockchain. Today, we are speaking to Nitin. Nitin is the founder of B21, which is your go-to app if you're looking to invest in crypto without any hassles. So to say, it's fully compliant. He's also associated with a bunch of other blockchain and crypto projects. He has been in this space for a really long time. We had a freewheeling chat about everything under the sun in this ecosystem. Let's just jump right in. Hi, Nitin. How are you?
Hi, Tarusha. I'm fine. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for taking out the time to speak to me. You're working in this exciting space and you're working on quite a few projects. Could you tell me a little about what you're working on currently, and that'll give our listeners also an insight into how you came about into crypto.
Yeah, so I've been in payment all my working career, almost all my working career. So been around 15 years in payments, and it started with bank, then some early days of PayPal, where I created, I was building product in PayPal, and then in a startup,
Right.
multiple different types of products, e-wallet, banking services, cards, worked with a lot of big names, corporates, B2B, etc. Then I built a product first. I started with building product. Then I got an opportunity to market that product. So I picked up the marketing role. So and then as things would have had it, I got a chance to be head of sales. So I started selling the same product,
Right.
and it worked out fine.
Right.
I was the head of business development for Asia and Europe, and I was the builder of the product, or I built the product. I knew more about the product, so I started selling it, and it worked out fine. It was, I think, an interesting journey for around 3 years,
Yeah.
and I think in 2013 I got introduced
Right.
to crypto, and it was like fascinating for me because I saw that, hey, the next big thing in payments is crypto. So
Right.
started getting involved. That crypto that time was only Bitcoin. Now, like, there are like some 8,000 coins, but there was only
Right.
Bitcoin that time. So it was Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Started in 2013, and I got a chance to build a product in that. So in 2014, we had a product in hand. We launched it along with one of the biggest custodian of crypto that time, called Zappo. They're still around,
Right.
and we launched. It was the Bitcoin debit card. So you could actually spend your Bitcoin buying coffee in the real world.
Right.
So that was the thought process.
Right.
That's how I got involved in crypto, and ever since the journey has been non-stop. I think it is a cutting edge of payments and technology.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I
yeah,
think that is the pretty much the future, like vis-a-vis, payments going into the crypto space. But we are far away from mass adoption, obviously. But
oh, yeah.
there are people who are creating solutions every day. What is your take on this? How do you think that people can be made to get into crypto and use it as a sector, basically for their day-to-day life? What do you think?
So I think so. The way we work. So I'll just go back a little bit more. So 2014, when we launched this product, we were focusing towards people who had a crypto. So if you own
Right.
crypto, you could spend it. Right? So that's one part
Right.
where you could, if I have Bitcoin, but I can't go and buy coffee with it. So we were solving a problem of spending crypto in the real world. And Bitcoin debit card was a Visa powered card, which you can spend it on all the merchants online and in shopping terminals for spending your Bitcoin. And that's where
Right.
we were trying to solve the problem of spending the Bitcoin. But what we realized very quickly was that the number of people who have crypto are fairly small right now. Okay, out of like 7.5 billion people in the world, maybe few million, maybe 20, 30 million people
Right.
today are directly or indirectly own crypto, and
Mm.
it's a very small population. And that time, 2014 to 2018, we ran the product. We had a million users a million cards in the market. We were doing
Right.
$2 billion in transaction volume, so it was great. In fact, Bitcoin was $2,000-$3,000, and Bitcoin price would go up. People will spend more, and our our volume will increase. So it was fun stuff
Right.
that time. But it was that time there were arguments that there are only 4 to 5 million people who are involved in crypto. So it
Right.
started becoming. So we said, okay, we have to solve the problem of people investing in crypto. We have to spend the people. We have to solve the problem of people using crypto more. So we have to bring more people into crypto. The word you talk about, mass adoption, right?
Right.
It doesn't happen on day one, but
Hmm.
it's evolving. Look, now you can say that things are much more better because 350 million people from PayPal have access to crypto. Soon with
Right.
Libra, etc., coming out, there will be close to 1.5 billion people from Facebook will have access to crypto. So things are much
Hmm.
faster. But I think the interesting thing which has changed from what we were doing in 2016, 18 to 18, etc., is that time crypto was a currency, right? Cryptocurrencies was the stuff, right? And I think
Hmm.
that the innovation has happened in such a manner that it's not a currency anymore, but I think it's an asset class. So these are crypto assets. That's how I see it.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I think that there are underlying coins. The utility of underlying coins are much more than currencies. Probably there might be, look, for all practical purposes, I think that even Ethereum is not a currency, but an asset. It is
Yeah. Yeah.
Ethereum is a big decentralized computer network, I would say.
They work like layers, right? So I believe that, these currencies, they're like layers. So you can either believe that it's an asset class and it's like a store of value rather than a medium of exchange per se. There are obviously other tokens that kind of fill in that gap.
Correct. And now you're talking about comparing Bitcoin to gold, right? Which is the store of value, or actually is an asset class, to just put it very boldly. So it's not only a medium of exchange, it can be. It's also store of value or an asset class. And I think so that's what we believe in. And we started bringing more and more people to crypto by bringing a product in which the thought process is that if my mom wants to invest in crypto, she cannot invest today. She just will not go to Binance. I have had multiple people who go to Binance and it's just not cut out for them. It's like so complicated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, no, so
Right. So too
Binance is just
difficult.
one thing, and they are still doing it's still better than, say, a MetaMask, right? Like MetaMask is absolutely unfathomable for so many people.
Yeah, if I tell there is an argument of from the Bitcoin puritarians that not your keys, not your coins, but the reality is that my dad, who has been a banker all his life, will not go to a MetaMask, will not so easily hold their private keys. You tell him that, hey, this is the private key, this is the 16-word seed, please write it and please keep it in the safety deposit box. Like, are you kidding me?
Right. Yeah, it's absurd for them, right? It's absolutely absurd for them. Like this is the same problem that I have with my parents. Like if I start explaining it to them, they don't understand. Okay, this is like a phrase that needs to be stored and it's really valuable. As the UI aspect, I think needs to be worked upon so much more. That's why solutions need to be so subtle that people would be using crypto and they don't even have to really care what's happening in the background. A lot like perhaps, how internet or electricity works now. That, people use it day to day and every day all the time, but they don't necessarily have to understand the technology, like in the ins and outs of it is what I mean. Like on the macro level, perhaps you do. So yeah.
Yeah, look, exactly. And the way we put this to place is that think about internet. And we talk about the Netscape moment, right? So before Netscape, I mean, all of us probably have only used browsers, right? But before browsers, it was only for techies or military, right? They would go to a black screen to access internet, etc. And once this came in, Netscape came, and it was for everyone, right? And I'll even extrapolate and think about even mobile phones, which probably we have seen in our own lifetime. That when there were static phones or phones on the cradle, which we used to have, the landlines, we used to have one landline phone per household maximum. Today, people have two phones in their pockets. So once the user experience is much easier, right, then the mass adoption starts happening. So I think that's where we are.
I think it's about user. Yeah, absolutely. I think you're absolutely correct that, mass adoption will happen when the user experience is better. But there has to be utility. I think it needs to be really solving some sort of a problem. I don't know. I don't necessarily know what kind of a problem did mobile phones solve because I think they're just like serve as a piece of distraction now. But it was the gradual evolution of technology and people found solutions, right? And then people built on it and it became a part of our everyday life.
Yeah, there are. I think that even if you look at, I'll give you one more example to just complete the conversation topic on this. That if you think about even emails, right? Earlier, it used to be complicated to set up an email infrastructure to have an email, right? And people were like, "Hey, why do I need an email?" And then Hotmail came, it changed the entire thing, and now like Gmail has changed the entire thing for decades now. And like we were talking about our parents, they do have an email address, they do have mobile phones, and I think they do not understand the POP or POP3 access and all that stuff which used to be there in the IBM email servers earlier. So that changed, and I think that's where what you are also referring and what we are vehemently agreeing, that the technology has to be underlying. It has to make things more simpler. So that's it has to be playing a role in itself. So that's what we are doing. We're working working towards making it easy for investing in
Yeah.
crypto. So, and I think I'm just explaining our thought process that it has become three words for us. It is like investing, and with all the DeFi stuff coming, it's earning, and then last one
Yeah.
which we've done in the past as well, which is spending. So it should be your crypto assets should be able to easily invest, easily earn on it, and easily spend them. So
Yeah.
that's the thesis with which we are working, and we have a product in the market, B21. So that's what it is doing.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
B21, it's a lovely interface, like a very clean interface that you have with the app. I think that is essentially, what you said. I think this is something that has been pretty much my North Star. Now that I've been working, like I think in deep tech for like last 12 years, I think technology needs to be so simple. Like that is the motto that I go with. It needs to be so simple that my parents get it. Like if my father gets it, because he's not that tech savvy. But with, as you mentioned, that with emails being so sorted now, with these new applications coming in which make it easy, that is essentially how you pave the path for adoption in some way, because not everybody would care about not your C token, and not your keys, not your coin. I understand that obviously that is very, very important, but that might not be for everybody, and that might not be the way to sort of help other people to jump on this bandwagon.
So the underlying problem which those people talk about from not your key, not your coin, is because they think that whoever is holding your crypto may or may not be
They might
actually
run
holding
away.
your crypto, right? Or run away, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's like
yeah.
I don't know, there are hundreds of exchanges. So if you hold your crypto in one of these exchanges, right? Let's just say that an exchange holds $20 million worth of Bitcoin for all its users, but actually they only are holding $10 million. Actually, but rest $10 million is just not there. Okay, and if someone wants to any day start withdrawing, they don't have it. It's just that they just don't hold all the assets. So that is the underlying problem, which this not your keys and not your coins is trying to solve, because there have been big and small like players who cannot be trusted. So in order to solve that problem, the way we are approaching it is we think that regulation is the way to go. We do think that it gives legitimacy, it gives trust, and if you're regulated,
Right.
because you will bring, in order to be regulated, you need to have systems in place, right? You cannot have the scenario I talked about that have 10 million of Bitcoins, but actually for the users, you show 20 million, right? So that problem is solved by only being regulated. At least that you might be doing the right thing. But since the space has got so much adulterated with people, with hacks, with a lot of bad characters, that the regulation is the right thing to do. It also helps in doing away with
Building
any kind of an
trust.
uncertainty. So it gives the
It helps
trust.
build a trust, and so users would be able to, they'll feel a little more comfortable jumping onto this, because they'll feel that, okay, yeah, somebody has their back somewhere, somebody has done the DD already for them.
Correct. And look, you can always build insurances on top of it, etc. So that's what we are trying to do.
Okay.
And it's not easy, right? So it has its own complications. We have huge bottleneck right now because our KYC, because we are regulated and we provide a regulated solution, it does take time. It is not like instant KYC or no KYC. And we have to spend time, we have to spend effort, and we have to spend cost in order to do the KYC of individuals. And since it becomes like, hey, others are not doing that, why are you making it difficult? Okay, yeah, we understand. But trust is not built on day one. It takes time to build trust. So
absolutely.
while
No,
we've taken a difficult path, but I think we are on the right thinking.
Yeah, no, I understand this very, I understand and I empathize with you, because I think KYC is such, it's an important part of the entire process. So earlier I was running an exchange, and the entire KYC module was very resource intensive, right? Ultimately, if you're going to be a global platform, it can only be automated to a certain level. It becomes very, obviously now there are a lot of lovely solutions. On Fido does, on-chain KYC, Shift does it, and they can just facilitate, I think. And nevertheless, KYC becomes like time consuming, and it becomes a bottleneck, as you said, and that can be a little frustrating. But if you're going to be compliant, then that's the way to go about doing things.
Yeah, like I was saying, since 2013 I've been into the space, so seen a lot of ups and downs, right? And seen things like non-compliant, rise and fall of a lot of exchanges. Like I can keep on giving stories, and we've just decided that, hey, a shortcut is not the way to go, and specifically if you're working towards mass market, shortcut is not the way to go, right?
Yeah,
So
I think that is.
it's a complicated complicated long
No,
path.
definitely. I think it's a complicated path. It's a path riddled with a lot of obstacles, and because the space is so dynamic, new things keep happening. Right, there are forks and whatnot. So, and you have to sort of there are fires at all ends, basically. And yeah, I understand this entirely. That the compliance, etc., becomes very pertinent because there's an easy way to do it, but that might not be the long term way to do it.
Yeah. Let me ask you. I know you're asking me, but I'm just curious. You've been in this space for quite some time as well. What are you most excited about in coming days and months? And what stuff means whatever you are doing or anything which you are excited about this space? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I find NFTs are very exciting at the moment. I think it's space that has been like very it hasn't people haven't looked at it correctly. I guess we just everybody was in kind of knew about NFTs just because of CryptoKitties. I guess NFTs will have a huge role to play moving forward. The one thing that really excites me on a macro level, I think, is adoption. And to go about adoption, I think making sure that the right information is getting out and making sure we kind of have the control over the narrative that we are putting forward to potential users. That's important. And you kind of covered it with how enabling users to be able to spend their holdings. I think that is one of the most exciting things in this space. Obviously now that Binance has a card and so many other entities also have a card, but ultimately it's still very far away from just becoming like a day-to-day thing. I think that is what my vision is, to bring in accessibility and inclusivity. If you're building a fintech platform, there is the crypto and blockchain space. That is essentially what I'm working on as is, or with Oro Pocket and Open DeFi. They're bringing in redeemable assets that your TG might already understand. Like we are doing gold and silver right now, but we will be adding crypto soon on the platform. The idea is to bring in assets that people understand and then offer financial services on top of these assets, be it loans, be it staking and earning like a yield or an interest on your investments, or being able to spend it using an asset-backed card. So that is essentially what I do, and I truly believe that if you're going to be building, so because blockchain is about decentralization, it is about inclusivity. I believe that we really need to work on solutions that work in a subtle manner, that really are enabling and empowering the end user, so that they don't even have to really worry about the nitty-gritties at the back end.
Yeah. Funny, if you talk about spend, talk about accessibility, and you talk about cards. That's been my holy grail. We've been working on the card stuff, and like I said, Binance came with a card recently, but we had cards,
Right.
a million cards in the market, right? Like it is like if you actually Google Bitcoin debit card and you Google a company name, almost all the companies who were providing Bitcoin debit card was through us, through Wavecrest. I used to be the salesperson selling all of them. So and now what we are doing is it's the same thing, bringing this interesting thing of spend on the card. Yes, Binance has a card, but Binance's card is only limited to Europe only, and it takes time for getting a global solution. We have seen that, and that I think I'm going to make. I hate to make price predictions, but I'm going to make a product prediction here. And I believe that in our lifetime, and I'm not talking about months and years, but probably in decades, we will see a fully card or spend device which runs completely unblocked. No centralized authority, no Visa, no MasterCard. It runs completely on decentralized ecosystem. I think it will come in maybe in decade or time, etc. But in our lifetime, we will see that happen, and that'll be fascinating as well. I'll
that
also
would
say
be
that
super fascinating.
yeah, it'll be
And I think, that is the most ideal scenario, right? That there is no Visa, there is no MasterCard, and there is decentralized cards where people are actually really in control of their money. So right now, I think people think that they're in control of their money and they hand it out to banks, and banks have too much power, I think, and they've become a little too smug, in my opinion. But what you said is that is the ultimate dream, right? For anybody who's thinking about how crypto can become mainstream.
correct. Actually, what you talk about is right. Banks are, I will just use the word banks are extremely slow because they're just complacent. The innovation is not happening in banks. Okay. Actually, they have been kicked in the backside multiple times now because all the fintech neobanks eating their lunch. So the banks are forced to innovate. So it is actually good for the market, for the banks to innovate. I mean, even it's close to our heart in India, you see banks have started innovating a lot. But I think this is going to go very fast. I also think that while I do think that there will be a lot of decentralized play will be there, but I also think the banks will actually play ball. They will have no other choice but to play ball. Banks don't want to become the Motorola's of the world that they die, right? What they will do is that they will play ball and they will bring about smarter solutions which will work alongside the blockchain and crypto space. And it will be compliant, it will be regulated, but it will be still running on a decentralization crypto world and providing much more value to its users. And that's what I think is the future, which I'm extremely excited about.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting because this space is so young. Like the technology is still in its infancy, and it's a very dynamic space. So I agree with you 100% that banks would obviously have to innovate to kind of stay relevant. And with all of these new banks and these fintech platforms that are coming in, I think banks are being left with little choice but to innovate, and hopefully they can innovate in a way which is and because banks have larger footprint, I think that would help with building user trust and adoption as well.
Let's take this into next year and talk about what are we frustrated about.
Oh, okay.
You're a fellow. I know. I'm just enjoying the conversation. So, what the next thing which comes about is what are we very frustrated about in this industry, right? And that'll actually open up. I can go first. So, I think the only thing which I'm extremely frustrated about is blockchainers or fellow Kryptonians are short-sighted. Means we are right short-sighted. We talked about conversation at the beginning. It's like so busy that I don't have like hours and hours to spend on Twitter, right? It's like, okay, when I need to take a break, I go on Twitter and check it out and come back. So I happen to be looking at it in the most, right? And that's what entrepreneurs probably are doing, going and checking and coming back. They're not spending all their time on Twitter. What I saw today is like people were talking about, hey, this coin has done this percentage and I think it's great. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But what does this coin do? What does the product do?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. It's like it's so ephemeral, right? It's just like so short-lived.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it has gone X percentage up, right?
Yeah.
It's superficial, right?
It's very superficial. Yeah, it's very superficial. So you're absolutely correct there, because I believe that people who are making the most noise in this space, they are primarily I'm not trying to be derogatory here. They're speculators and traders, and they're here for a quick buck. And at times people lose track of, and they don't look at the larger vision that the platform might have. So as you said, what is the utility of this token? It might be performing really well, yes, but then there are wash trades as well. And what is the underlying cause that is making it perform so well? What is it? The team? Is it the problem that they are solving? Is it the long-term vision that they have, which makes people believe, okay, yeah, this is the project that will do really well? So that is something that people really lose sight of, and that is dangerous, I think.
Yeah, actually, exactly. And so what ends up happening is that it's just like, oh, this coin went up, so I love this coin, or this is right. It's all determined. While I understand it has to be determined by market forces and price, etc. But you cannot look. Things don't change on a daily basis, right? Things don't change. The prices change on a daily basis, but the fundamentals don't change on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
So I think that's what we are frustrated about. I also think, just adding to this, I think the crypto industry has picked this trading stuff in a backwards. So if you think about, traders are there in the industry, okay, but investors are not there. So I'll explain my thought process a little bit more. Think about, you have a company, you go do an IPO, and then you get the retail investors because they do a price discovery, and then you have futures and options, and on top of it, day traders and all that stuff starts coming up. But first, you have retail investors, right, who would most likely not be buying and selling every single day. They would be buying and holding, etc. They have a longer view. They believe in the company or what they're doing to a certain extent. The way crypto has done it, it's reverse. There's more trades than investors, right? So all the major platforms, if you go, they are all investing platforms. We talk about Binance a lot, but if you think about more and more complex derivatives, more and more complex systems coming in play, right? They cater to only the traders, right? They cater to the elite few who trade. But where are the investors? Where are the common masses? My mom, my dad, where are they? They will not go and do a 100x leverage trade, right? They would probably do a buy and hold and buy every month for amount and hold that's what retail investors do. So I think that's another thing which crypto has done, which I get sometimes frustrated that we do trade more. We have more traders than investors.
Mm, yeah,
So
no, absolutely. I think, you're absolutely correct there. I think, they are, as I said, these, I'm not trying to be derogatory here again, but this space is filled with speculators and traders who are just there for a quick buck. And there is nothing wrong with that. It's just that, for bigger things to happen in the space, there needs to be a good balance between these traders, the retail investors, and institutions.
Yeah, exactly. Do you trade? Just curious. I mean, let's take to the next level. Do you trade? Do you invest? What's your philosophy? I'm happy to share mine, but because I think
Yeah.
listeners would want to know that next question. Just fun stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. So no, I think I'm not so much of a day trader. I don't have that kind of time on my hands. Like when you're, as you said that, you
Exactly.
can't really go on Twitter and, spend all day on it, right? I also can't go on Twitter and spend all my day on it. If you're building a company and if you're scaling startups and solutions, you don't have that kind of, you don't have that liberty of time, right? And so I don't spend like all day on Twitter. And the same goes here that, if you're going to be a trader, you need to be really on your toes, right? The entire day, I would believe. Obviously, there are bots, etc., that can help you, and there are stop loss features, etc., that are there. But that is still something I think that kind of requires a lot of bandwidth, and that is not what I'm in here for. I would consider myself a hodler like no other, and I invest, and it depends on the platform and the kind of utility. So because I would say that both of us have been in this space for some time, and we kind of have the same ideology here. It depends entirely on what am I even sort of investing in, and then I wouldn't consider myself a trader at all. Like that, if like for the long to just sort of make the long answer concise. What about you? Do you trade, or would you consider yourself an investor? I think I know my
No,
answer
exactly. It's
already.
funny, right? Exactly. It's like I have invested and then I have forgotten
Hmm.
about it. Okay. And I
Yeah,
mean,
same.
so there are some of them which I invested and then I didn't keep a track. I mean, not a lot amount. So I didn't keep a track. And the other day somebody sent me a message, hey, that's done really well. I said, oh, let me just
Yeah.
check if I still have it. Right.
Yeah.
So
This
it
is
just
like my
because
story.
and
This
then
is
oh
exactly
wow.
like my story. Yeah, you discover it and then you're like, it's a happy surprise.
Correct. I don't even have a blockfolio or whatever these. There are so many places where you keep track of your portfolio. I don't have any of that sorted. I do have
Yeah.
crypto, but I don't have any of that sorted. So I don't look at the price every single day. It just it is there. I believe in this, right? So that's my sort of the story. In fact, so I can actually give you. I don't know how many people you will meet who have bought or who have bought crypto or Bitcoin when it was $100. So
Right.
that right
Yeah.
that's my buying time. Look, my first Bitcoin, I bought it. I did some work for somebody. They said, oh, I'm going to give you a Bitcoin rather than this. I said, yeah, fine. So he gave me a Bitcoin. It was like, okay, fine, it's $100. Nice, let it sit there. And then
Yeah.
remember that time dollar was 45 to a rupee. So
Right.
it was
Yeah.
4,500 rupees for which I got that Bitcoin. And I'm like, okay, fine, let it stay there. And then they were like, oh, it has got
Yeah.
9,000 rupees. It's got 10,000 rupees. I said, oh, wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
So yeah,
yeah.
no, absolutely. I understand this like on a very basic level, because I think I'm in the same boat as you. We are not coming across as very good crypto shillers now, Nitin. I would say like our listeners will think that these people are just holding and they might not have the best financial advice to give. But then that is just how I kind of roll. That I don't believe that I have the kind of bandwidth to sit down and look at the markets every day and kind of study it and accordingly make my trades. It's I think it's a full-time job, right? If you're doing
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Also, I mean, just catching up on what you just said, right? It's difficult to not predict. That's what I would say,
Right.
right? Very easy to
Yeah.
say, hey, Bitcoin is going to go to 40 and ETH is going to go above 1400, 15. Very easy to say, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but hey, it's difficult to refrain from saying that, hey, I am not going to predict on the price. We believe in this space. We're more about not only about the price, we are here for a long term. Why we like the price rise, why we like more and
Yeah.
more people getting involved, while we take pride that Facebook and Twitter and PayPal came after us and we were here before,
Right.
right? We've been
Yeah.
believer in this space much before PayPal got to it's my alma mater. Right? I worked in PayPal earlier, so it's
Right.
like right. All my fellow PayPalians, they were like, "Oh, you're doing something in crypto, yes." And 3 years later, when PayPal came into crypto, I said, "Now you guys are also coming." Okay, so So it
Right.
gives me a pride in saying that. But we're not. It just shows very clearly that we are not in here for a short term. We like the
Yeah.
ride, we enjoy it going up, but we also understand it's a material change which this industry is bringing in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the
So
underlying change. I think it's the vision. So it's like a way of, this is going to sound really corny, but it's like a way of life. I think, you enjoy the journey, but you're not here for just like, just for those little moments, right? You are here to work on the grander vision that you have for your life. That is essentially how I look at least, the tokens that, you kind of really believe in. That, you are here as somebody who's been there long before, a micro strategy came in and long before when a PayPal came in, and we'll be there for a while. And obviously, I think that I never really looked at it that way, but now I'm feeling a sense of pride too, that I was
yeah,
there
right.
before.
Right.
Yeah.
Means if someone from PayPal or someone from Facebook starts talking about crypto, you say, yeah, you realized it 2 years later or 3 years later.
Yeah.
You used to mock us. You still don't allow us to put ads on Facebook on crypto about crypto, right?
Right. Yeah.
So what are you
Yeah.
talking about, right? So it is just means it's just that and that helps, right? That helps put the belief more in it, right? That hey, now if all these guys are coming in, okay, means a lot of
Right.
people who like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know if it will go, it will not go up, it will not go down. I only say this very simply: if Visa is in it, if DBS is in it, if PayPal is in it, if Goldman Sachs is in it,
Right.
if BlackRock is in it, okay, if Twitter and Facebook is in
Yeah.
it, if Elon Musk tweets about it literally every week, okay, which means it is on his mind, right? It cannot be neglected. Are you still saying it's a
Yeah.
bubble? Right? So you give me the answer
Yeah.
yourself. So where I'm going with it is very easy to shill, but very difficult to not talk about price, talk about the real stuff, talk about
Yeah.
that what does change the journey of change which we are on, and it's going to change
Yeah.
a lot of lives. Means again, frankly, I put
Absolutely.
this in a way that when internet was getting born, right, and if you take the example even in India when internet or the IT industry got formed because of the Y2K problem, and India had the chance of solving
Right.
that problem, etc. That time I did not get involved, right, and I was not there.
Right.
Then there was a mobile
Hmm.
revolution when there was like, so many mobile apps coming, right? I was I
Right.
was still not there. I was not party to it. I did not make a startup in the mobile app world, right? And then
Right.
happened the social media world, the Facebooks or the even the WhatsApps of the world or Snapchats, etc. That happened, but I was still not there. Unfortunately, I was busy doing something else, right? But now
Right.
the
Yeah.
blockchain world or the decentralized world, I am there, okay? Or I would just say we are there.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, I think your journey is exactly similar, right? This one is our journey. This one we did not do the we did not become the Infosys and Wipros of the world. We did not become the Facebooks of the world, but we are in the crypto space. We will become one of the reckoning forces in this. That's what
Absolutely.
I do
No,
right now.
your passion comes through, and I this is exactly what I did not believe it before this call, but I do believe during the course of this call that we have a very similar thought process on where we are standing. And this is what you said about how it's going to change so many lives. So I think around a month back, I had spoken to Darren Tapp from Dash, and he was talking about the kind of groundbreaking work that Dash is doing in places like Nigeria and Kenya, that you can actually pay for your parking, etc., with Dash. And I thought that was so amazing. Like, he actually sent me an advertisement of how you can actually order fried chicken using Dash. And I found that lovely, because that is essentially what we need to do: make it so mainstream that day-to-day activities are happening in this space, and more people are using this technology without having to really worry about it or be wary of it in any way.
Yeah. Look, I think what you just said actually is a success of this call itself. That it actually made us believe more in what we are doing,
Yeah.
and made us more proud about what we are doing and how we are changing lives. He about Dash. Well, I don't follow it a lot, but it seems it is changing lives in Nigeria, etc. That's a phenomenal
Hmm.
journey. You
Right.
know the other thing also for our viewers and for our listeners, I think one thing we always forget in this entire we talk about Bitcoin, we talk about crypto, we also talk about blockchain, okay, but the one thing
Right.
which we actually tend to forget, and I think that's the defining factor, is decentralization. That's the defining
Absolutely.
factor of why we are in it and what we are trying to solve, and just not forgetting that it's all driven by trying to make things decentralized.
Yeah,
So
no, I
we,
think
we
that is
just
essentially the
got to
very
keep remembering
basic.
it.
Yeah, yeah, that is something that is so foundational to blockchain and crypto in general. Like, just with this technology, that it's all about decentralization, and how decentralization kind of is becoming increasingly important important with the kind of socio-political, scenarios that are playing out all over the world. I think decentralization is the way to go. And in every industry, it's not just, that, okay, it's in the finance industry. Obviously, this is an industry that kind of touches everybody. But, there are so many other verticals that decentralization becomes very pertinent as we are moving forward.
Yeah, I'll tell you one more anecdote, okay? And I was telling this to,
Sure.
because people will immediately understand with this one, okay? So think about blockchain, okay? And I was explaining somebody and he said, oh, so things cannot be unwritten on it and it is immutable, etc. Right? I said yes. And I was like, think about it this way, okay? If the title deed of Ram Janam Bhoomi in Ayodhya would have been written on blockchain,
Right.
it would have still been there.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah.
It is a very profound statement if you think about it, right? And think about 200, 500 years down the line or 1000 years down the line, how much of property records will exist, right? They have to be put on blockchain so that they exist forever, right? That's what decentralization and blockchain brings on the table, right? That's what keeps us alive.
I think, this is something that is actually very, very, all over the world. It's the same story with properties and title deeds. This is a problem that so many people who are, executing estates, they face because there is no clear title. And with blockchain, that goes away.
Yeah, look, exactly. And the way we put it was that we were talking and we put it that, hey, you will never have a khosla ka ghosla if title deeds were on blockchain, right? And
that's a good example.
And it's just relatable, right? People immediately get it. Yeah, true, right? And then the other thought which we also said, and because it's very interesting, and I want to repeat it. The other thought which I want to also say is that if people say that we are not shilling coins, etc., it will become the Hera Fairy days. That scheme, 25 days mein paisa double, right? That scheme doesn't exist, right? That scheme, if someone is selling you that scheme, right? You just remember,
run.
Yeah, just remember Hera Fairy, right? The movie. So you're like, oh, why are you not telling about coins? Like, look, I just very simple, right? And there are. Unfortunately, there are so many people who still get bought by that 25 days mein paisa double type of story, right?
Right. Yeah. Those are so. I believe the scamsters are, in every industry, and especially like there was something very lovely that I had. I keep coming back to. Andreas Antonopoulos had written in Internet of Money that criminals tend to take on new technologies easier, right? They have nothing to lose. And when if there is any innovation that is coming in, if when there are phishing frauds, etc., right, that came in, even with the Telegram there were frauds. So the idea is that there will always be people who are scamsters and who are on the wrong side of the road, so to say. But you need to do your own research. That's one part, and that goes without saying. But then essentially what does matter is that there are more of us than there are them, and that is what you need to believe, and you need to sort of take solace in as you move forward, because there'll always be people who will be troublemakers, but then you have to look at the people who are trying to do it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in every sector you'll find them. In every sector, this is not just peculiar to blockchain, right? When internet started, I believe, like, at least that was how it was with my parents, I wasn't allowed on the internet, right? Because it was supposed to be like a den of porn stars and mobsters and pedophilia, right? So that essentially
which is there still, right? Which is still there.
Yeah, it is.
We just have figured out a way to avoid them, and that's what we have to do, right? We just know how to not get into that trap, right? And
absolutely,
I'm sure that there are. I mean, we know so much is on the internet is going on that stuff. So
yeah, absolutely. So no, there is a fine balance to be maintained there. But then essentially, you can take solace in the fact that there are solution makers as well who are moving forward.
I'll give you an anecdote. Okay, so I don't know if you know or not, but the first online credit card usage, who started it? How did credit cards start? So credit cards, when they were made to be used on point of sale terminals, right? Those big machines in which you will have POS, which you'll have to swipe your card. How did it started happening online? So there is a movie in which it is shown, but the fact is that there were these NASA engineers who had nothing else to do. They had left their jobs, and they just decided that they want to monetize their phone. So they put all their material online, and they said that someone should pay. They actually coded using the information on the card to actually send the magstripe data, create the magstripe data or a cryptographic data, and send it over the internet to swipe the card.
Wow.
Right? So it was that simple. Rather than sending the magstripe data, take the data which is there on the card, which is card number, CVV, expiry, right? And create that magstripe data and send it. It was as simple, right? Because you can't swipe it on the internet, right? So, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
And that actually gave birth to online usage of cards.
Wow.
And,
Okay. I
right?
actually was not aware of this. This
Yeah.
is so
So
interesting.
it's very interesting, and you will understand from there that it has been a revolution. And there are things
Absolutely.
that the point that you were talking about, some people who have a really real need, or they actually innovate in some of these industries, right? They actually use the technology first, and somehow there would never have been a Flipkart or a Amazon if that technology was never born, right? Or that those two
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
would have not figured out a way to use the card online. So it's
Wow.
actually
Yeah.
very fascinating, and
Absolutely.
that's how innovation has happened for time
Yeah.
immemorial. So people using it for fancy purposes is it'll always be there. It has always been there. It has always been there in every stream of life. But this way, there's more and more innovation happening now. So
Yeah.
the way you
Yeah.
talked about of
Absolutely.
Dash as well, we'll see in the months and years to come.
Yeah, absolutely. This is actually, so innovation is, it happens when there is some sort of a problem to solve, right? And there are so many problems to be solved right now with the traditional finance world. And that is why, obviously, DeFi is growing by leaps and bounds. Obviously, still far away from any kind of mass adoption. But nevertheless, the kind of innovation that is driving this space, I believe that, it'll happen so much quicker than it has happened past, like for
Yeah.
people to be able to trust the products and the solutions and to be able to make them a part of their day-to-day life.
Yeah. In fact, means just talking about that's what we in B21 also are doing, trying to make a difference, bring more and
Hmm.
more mass adoption by providing a regulated solution for people to invest in crypto. Easiest way to invest in crypto. We provide, means not easily, people do not provide easily a way to invest in crypto using credit debit cards. We have that. We have bank transfers. We have the earn feature where you earn interest on all your portfolio. So you can
Right.
actually invest using $25, but you can actually select in a portfolio. So you create your own
Wow.
portfolio, right? So look, again, going back to the basics of investing, right? We start picking up from there. It has to be diversified. So what you can do is you
Yeah.
can select your own portfolio, and we have actually made it so simple that you can literally buy Bitcoin worth of $1. So
Right.
you buy it, and in a regulated manner, in a regulated manner, keeping it very clearly at a in
It's
a
compliant
regulated
in every way
custodian,
and
right?
easy for the user.
Correct,
Yeah, yeah. No,
right?
so I believe that your solution is absolutely wonderful. So could you tell me a little about like where all in what geographies can users utilize B21?
So we are live in 82 countries right now. So the interesting thing
Okay.
is that not very difficult for people to also go live in US, right? That's a known fact, right? Even Binance doesn't provide direct solutions in US. So we are
Right.
even live in
Yeah.
US. So we onboard US users as well. That actually is a
Wow.
testimonial in itself that the systems and solutions which we provide are in a regulated manner, which can also be used by America, right? We are
Okay.
live. We have in 82 countries. We in from US to India to Europe to Asia, large geographies. That's where our big focus has been. But we focus US has been slowly and steadily growing. In fact, if
Hmm.
you think about US solution, I'll give you a quick one. How we differentiate is that if you buy crypto with us, we will give you crypto right
Right.
away. Even if you use your
Right.
bank account, we will give you Bitcoin right away. It is not like any other. Even if you go to a Kraken or a Coinbase for that matter, and you buy using a bank transfer or bank account using
Hmm.
instant ACH, you will get crypto tomorrow or day after tomorrow. It will take 24 to 48 hours before they give you the Bitcoin.
Hmm.
We give
Right. So
instantly.
it's basically an instantly. Yeah. So it's an
Yeah,
instant exchange.
correct.
Okay.
Right.
So
It
obviously
does.
that kind of helps the user. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you do not know what the price will be tomorrow, right? So you might,
Right. Yeah.
so and yes, there are risk concerns which Coinbase deals with, and that's why they provide. We understand why they provide it after 24 to 48 hours. But in our model, we provide it right there and then, instantly, right? So we're live with India. We have a UPI in which you can use you invest using UPI. It's 2,000 rupees, which is roughly around $25, which is what you should invest using, and then you can hold it. There's no trade. You cannot trade. It's not like a Binance function that you can trade, etc. But if you are thinking of holding your crypto for a longer term, that's where we come in. You take your entire portfolio. So if you have even $100 worth of portfolio spread across 6 coins, in a click of a button, just
Right.
one green button, and you can stake the entire portfolio and earn between 3 to 14% per annum, right? If your crypto is sitting there.
Wow, okay.
So it's interesting, right? So think about for an average user, it's just like we talked about, like my mom or my dad, they invest $100, they get a benefit of growth of crypto asset in itself. Plus they get a benefit of 3 to 14% per annum turn on their crypto, just which is sitting there by just click of a button, right? So they can stake the entire portfolio. So that's the stake fee or the earn feature. And then third one, which we are extremely excited about and are literally this week we should launch it. Team is working 24 hours on that. And that is the spend feature. While we do have a way in which you can withdraw to a bank account, but we are bringing about a card, Visa powered card. And actually, it is a differentiating factor because we will bring about secure credit card, which can be used globally and issued not only in Europe but outside, but in Asia as well.
That would be super exciting, I think. Yeah.
That we are extremely excited about, and we think that being in this space and we understand the market, so that's what we're focusing on. And I think the next few weeks and months will be amazing for this space as well. So you will be able to not only invest but earn, but also spend easily your crypto.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So I think that is the way to go about, just trying to get more people on the bandwagon, for more people to understand that this is not just like a scam of sorts or a Ponzi scheme, so to say, for the lack of a better term.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it's very exciting what you guys are doing. So your apps are like available on iOS as well as Android?
Yes. So the app is both on Android and iOS. It's a mobile first or mobile only play. No website play. It's only mobile.
No
you can download. No web app. You can download and you can onboard and then invest and then take and earn and then right there itself spend, get a card. Right now we're starting with physical card. We're working on virtual card as well, but get a card and spend. And then there are many more features coming. Like it's just making it very simple. Means actually Binance has changed. It's actually interesting. So Binance we were tweeting about it, but when my friends went into Binance and they created an account and they came back and they asked me, what is fiat? And I said, yeah, that's true, right? That's not what anyone understands. So they've changed it to cash. I don't know if you saw recently or not, but they call it cash rather than fiat. But people would come back and say, crypto, I understand. What is fiat? Okay. Right. So in our app, you will not find all that stuff. No jargons, no crypto lingo, no talk about all that stuff. It's very simple. You invest, you hold. When you want to sell, you'll sell, withdraw to your bank account or spend. While the money is sitting there or assets are sitting there, you earn. It's a simple concept, but
it's investing 101 basically. It's interesting without any of the frills and the drum rolls. It's simple. It's to the point. It gets the work done.
Yes.
Lovely. So we are already kind of, I think, overblowing the time we had for this. But I would love to ask you, a question that I ask everybody who comes on the show. If somebody is like perhaps peering in from the outside, I think you kind of answered this already. But if you had to give a suggestion to somebody who wants to get into the space but is still a little unsure, what would be your 2 cents to them?
So the way I will answer it is that let today be your day one, rather than saying one day I will get into it, because one day you will get into it. Let today be your day one, right? That's how I would answer. I would also say, look, and this is how I learned it in the entire everything. Okay, I got involved and then I learned it. Right? Even stocks, I first invested in stocks and then I learned the entire thing about stock market. I never learned and then came and invested. It's always once you invest, because now your money is in it, you actually learn about it, right? If you invest in an ICICI Bank stock, then you learn more about what ICICI Bank is doing and how they are marketing, how they are selling, and if you're into finance, you look at PE ratios, etc., etc. You don't look at it before, you look at it after you invest. And I think if you invest, right? And that's how I say you invest $25. It's not a lot of money. You invest and you will learn about it. And what we have seen, and people come back and tell us multiple times that first they invested, then they started learning about it. And because they started reading about Bitcoin and this and that, then Google started pushing more and more content to them. This is what Google does, right? So if you read about Bitcoin news, then they will give you the Ethereum news also, and it'll start coming up more and more on your feed. And that's what they said, hey, we just started learning about it. And now I want to know more about what is Dash and what is this and what is DeFi. And I said, okay, fine, now talking. So the fun stuff is, in order to get those people adopt, rather than making them learn first and then invest, we think that you should invest first and then learning will come. Like it's going to be a hyper growth in learning then. So that's how I would advise, I would narrate what people should look at. and get involved early. Look, then in India, we get involved always late. Think about so many youngsters sitting out there in colleges, etc. Get involved early. Okay, there are so
Yeah.
many new careers which are going to get created in this industry, right? The
Yeah,
Y2K
absolutely.
problem or those days will never come, but Bitcoin or crypto days are just starting.
Right. No, you're absolutely correct. I think, what you said about opportunities coming forward because of this industry, about how, you start today. Don't wait for that one day to start. Start today. Let this be your day one to start, living on blockchain and to get into this space. I think those are absolutely wonderful suggestions. And, I also believe that it's never too late. Like, if you get to know today and if you start today, it's fine. You're not late to the bandwagon or you're not late to the party at all. Some people, have all of these concepts in their head that you have to buy a whole Bitcoin, and you
Exactly.
can't really, right? It's basic stuff, but once you get into it, it'll be like a party like no other. As you said, that you'll be deluged post that with so much information, and there'll be so much learning and growth, and that'll happen automatically. But learning by doing, I think, is the best way to get into this space and to really become more aware of what is happening. And I think that is like step one, and I think it's a good step to take. So yeah, very, very good suggestions. This has been an absolutely
Yeah.
wonderful call.
Do try B21. Invest using B21.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
yeah.
I'm going to put in the links all in the descriptions of the when this podcast goes live. And I think your app has a very clean interface, and that is something that lacks in a lot of products and solutions nowadays. That they kind of over-engineer things. And right now, with your app, with the interface that it has, it's very clean, it's very nice, without jargon. So I believe B21 is doing a splendid job here. Do you have any last thoughts about being on this particular podcast?
No, I enjoyed the conversation. In fact, we did not think about any questions which we were going to ask, and I enjoyed the conversation because I like it that way.
Yeah.
The genuineness in shows the because we are passionate and believers, it just resonates. It just has fun. So it was good.
Yeah,
I,
this
I
is just
really enjoyed it. I think that listeners will also take something out of it. And yeah, if anyone wants more questions or you want to talk, we are all available on Twitter and LinkedIn. Just reach out. Always there to answer anything needed.
excellent, lovely. So I'm going to put in your socials in the description as well. It's been really lovely talking to you, Nitin. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Rosha. It was great. Cheers.